Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Paul Nathanson, a partner in the Policy Resolution Group at Bracewell. Along with my colleagues, I'm privileged to work with the American Coalition of Cabinet Distributors in this effort to fight a cynical trade petition that threatens to damage American companies and threatens the jobs of tens of thousands of American workers employed in our country's innovative, ready-to-assemble, or RTA, cabinet industry. Today, you'll hear compelling comments from the people who can bring clarity to the complicated and sometimes confusing world of trade policy. And by that, I mean a veteran trade lawyer like Matt Nicely, and I mean veteran in both experience and age. But really, you've come here today to hear firsthand accounts from a select group of leading executives in this country's RTA industry. I also wanted to recognize the other RTA representatives who have taken time out from running their companies and managing their business to come to Washington. Can you guys raise your hands, part of our coalition members? They're going to spend the next couple days meeting with members of Congress and others. U.S. RTA companies provide important consumer choice. Companies like the ones represented here today serve a distinct group of American consumers by providing a limited selection of cabinets on a very quick turnaround timeline. It's important to know that imported RTA products account for less than 10% of the healthy and still growing U.S. cabinet market. U.S. domestic producers who are alleging harm from imports have and still do account for 90% of the market. Another important thing to know is that several of the companies behind this trade petition, companies who present themselves as the domestic industry, have relied on imported Chinese components for years. But now, as they push this anti-China trade case, they have shifted production to countries like Vietnam and Mexico. Let's be clear, the companies who are attacking imports are also importers, and they have no intention of shifting production back to the United States. The executives here today will tell you that the RTA industry is an American innovation and economic success story. There's no reason to unfairly protect the companies who filed this trade case. And placing duties on these imports would just hurt American businesses and consumers. Thank you for being here and for hearing the voices of these small and medium-sized business RTA companies. Okay, now some logistics and technical information. I also wanted to welcome our online viewers who are joining us on Facebook Live. We know that some journalists and others who are closely following this case cannot be with us in person, and we're grateful for technology which allows you to tune in remotely. If time allows, we'll take your questions from online viewers. You can submit questions to us on Facebook and Twitter using the hashtag AskACCD. That's hashtag AskACCD. Thank you, and let's get started. We're going to get started with Randy here.
Good afternoon. My name is Randy Goldstein, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Kitchen Cabinet Distributors. We are one of the country's largest distributors of ready-to-assemble kitchen cabinetry, serving customers across the United States. KCD was founded as a small mom-and-pop company 12 years ago. Since then, we've built the company into a multi-state operation with facilities in North Carolina and Texas. We employ more than 100 Americans in well-paying jobs, and we focus exclusively on meeting the unique market need for on-demand cabinetry. To that end, we've invested millions of dollars in our facilities and logistics capabilities across the United States to make sure that we have the inventory on hand to deliver cabinets to our customers within days, a sharp contrast to the made-to-order cabinet companies. These companies, which comprise the petitioners behind this current trade case, typically require weeks or months to ship their cabinets. This case presents a stunning example of corporations taking advantage of the current trade hysteria. While the petitioners would prefer that this case be viewed as another example of China not playing by the rules, a closer look at the facts proves otherwise. One of the petitioners' stated goals is to prevent importers from taking advantage of what they claim are unfairly dumped and subsidized cabinets. If this is truly the case, then one would expect those petitioners to confront the largest importers of wood cabinetry, a list which happens to include companies like MasterBrand and American Woodmark. But oddly, MasterBrand and American Woodmark are not part of the defense in this case. In fact, they are among the largest members of the petitioning group. While the petitioners may hide behind an American flag and claim to stand up for American jobs, companies like MasterBrand and American Woodmark have relied heavily on China for a significant share of their cabinetry products, and are now moving those operations to other Southeastern Asian countries, Mexico and elsewhere. None of these jobs are actually returning to the United States. I've personally visited many factories in Southeast Asian countries and have frequently been told that the factories are not taking new customers because Master Brand has already purchased all of their manufacturing capacity. And for those who want some direct evidence, it's a photograph that I took just months ago in a small village in Vietnam. We were looking for a manufacturer to produce our products. You can see the name of the factory, this woman working, producing a cabinet door here, and right underneath in orange, Master Brand Factory. This is not an anomaly. You can go all over Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia. You will find a similar story, and we're happy to circulate copies of this photo. But look, I certainly have no problem with Master Brand producing cabinets in China, in Vietnam, in Thailand, or anywhere else they choose. But the claim made by Master Brand and the other petitioners that the protection of American jobs is at the heart of their struggle is disingenuous. This petition is simply an attempt to use current political sentiment against China to eradicate a small but important market segment traditionally supplied by China, to favor the petitioners' new foreign suppliers in other countries, and to otherwise limit consumer choice in deference to an aging business model of domestic manufacturers. There are companies in the United States that are struggling because they face a complex set of issues, some of which are self-inflicted, and some of which are driven by direct competition from the largest, more cost-efficient cabinet manufacturers, such as Master Brand. While it may feel good to point the finger at imports and hide behind a patriotic veneer, the facts are much more complicated. We all care about American jobs. The RTA industry directly employs tens of thousands of hardworking Americans. This trade case puts those jobs at risk while doing nothing to address or alleviate the underlying challenges faced by the petitioners. To conclude, I would invite anyone in this room or viewing online to visit us at KCD, at any of our facilities, for a tour and a chance to meet with our customers and our employees. Ready-to-assemble cabinets comprise a small but important segment of the larger U.S. cabinet industry. If we are not successful in this effort, we risk becoming collateral damage in the larger trade war with no tangible upside for the American people. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Hunter, and I'm the COO of CNC Cabinetry, distributor of ready-to-assemble cabinets in South Plainfield, New Jersey. CNC Cabinetry was founded almost 30 years ago by Nathan Indig, a woodworker by heart who wanted to bring cabinets to his community in New York. CNC started in Nathan's small 2,500 square foot garage, but quickly became a manufacturing company employing almost 100 people. CNC moved to our current location in South Plainfield in 2004 to expand the operation and to meet growing demand. Today we employ almost 400 people and 1,500 dealers across the country. How does Nathan grow his business? He realized that the explosive growth of house flipping and his customers' base needed to occupy apartments quickly, and therefore needed cabinets in 24 to 48 hours. They could not wait the traditional 6 to 8 weeks lead times to finish their units. In an effort to meet this new growing market, Nathan started buying RTA cabinets from overseas, as his domestic suppliers could not meet the demand or the requirements for the quick delivery. As the business grew and he increased his inventory with RTA cabinets imported from overseas, Nathan was able to take his old lead time from 6 to 8 weeks to a next day delivery of RTA cabinets that he had in stock. I've been in the business for almost 15 years now. I started a domestic company, RSI, who was recently purchased by American Woodmark, where we would produce almost 15,000 cabinets a day to service Home Depot and Lowe's. We would build our product to fill those shelves at those two mega stores. Customers could come in and purchase a kitchen off the shelf. However, there are disadvantages to this model. The packages were not RTA, ready to assemble, which means the customer literally has to take a fully built kitchen home in their car. Not an easy task. The other issue is that the collection had limited SKUs based on the shelf space it took up in the store, which made it difficult to complete a kitchen. I've also worked at a semi-custom shop where you as the customer could have almost anything you wanted in terms of kitchen and color. However, when you specialize like this, Delivery takes product time. Every order in that market segment takes weeks to lay out, plan, design, and order. And then manufacturing, finishing, assembly takes another 2 to 4 weeks. In the end, you're waiting 6 to 8 weeks to get your cabinets. Companies in the RTA market do not cater to the clientele that are customizing and waiting these long durations for their cabinets to be completed. CNC is working on projects with house flippers, and they're looking for quality cabinets that can be purchased and installed in 3 to 5 days. Many of our customers want the convenience of RTA cabinets to take directly into the kitchen and build the cabinets on site. There are currently no companies manufacturing in the US that serve this market. I know because I've reached out to them and asked them to provide the products for us. They have told me they don't do this. CNC has grown over to 400 employees in New Jersey and Florida and 1,500 dealers nationwide. We serve fundamentally a different market than the US build-to-order cabinet companies serve. Our customers count on us to be there for next day delivery, and we're there to deliver. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ms. C.O. Daniel, President and CEO of WebDon Incorporated. WebDon is an industry-leading distributor of RTA cabinets and surface products serving North Carolina, South Carolina, and Eastern Tennessee. We are family-owned and operated and have been in business for over 45 years. Also, we are a woman-owned business, recently certified by the Women's Business Enterprise National Council. At WebDon, we have 115 committed employees who believe in our mission and thousands of loyal customers who trust in our promise to provide high-quality products and a high-caliber service. My own history with our company is extensive. Over nearly 30 years, I have held many positions from customer service to sales manager to operations manager and finally president. As a result, I know our business inside and out. I know what our customers want and what the market demands. The U.S. cabinet market, like all markets, changes and innovates with the emergence of new consumer trends. In our segment industry, and many others, we see a group of consumers who have a sense of urgency. We all know the influence of Amazon Prime and its next day delivery. In the U.S. cabinet industry, a distinct niche market has emerged of consumers who want to place orders fast and have them filled just as fast. WebDon is working to meet the needs of those customers. We have been importing ready-to-assemble RTA cabinets from China for about 10 years. We sell those cabinets to dealers and to remodelers who need a high-quality, quick turnaround cabinet. Sometimes our customers assemble the cabinets, and sometimes we assemble the cabinets for them. Our customers can get the cabinets right away from us right away, meaning they can have them installed in a remodeled home in under a week. We rarely cross paths with the petitioners in this trade case, who are domestic producers of cabinets making made-to-order products. Their products have a much longer lead time. Their customers, usually builders, can wait 6 to 8 weeks for a custom cabinet. Being in the RTA business requires a big inventory investment for a company of our size. The tight timelines of our customer means we need to have a lot of product on hand ready to be shipped out the door the next day. We continue to make this investment because we believe that we are serving a specific customer base that the petitioners in this case cannot or will not serve. The imported RTA sector makes up less than 10% of the U.S. cabinet market. We serve a specific small group of customers who need cabinets right away. Domestic producers making cabinets with longer lead times always have and still do dominate the market. The success of companies like mine has nothing to do to impede the growth of the larger cabinet industry and of the domestic producers. We are simply a company evaluating an evolving marketplace and responding to our customers' needs. Thank you.
Chris?
Thank you. Thank you everyone for coming today. I'm Chris Graff. I'm the Executive Vice President of JSI. We're an importer of high quality cabinets from China. We manufacture and distribute quality all-wood kitchen and vanity cabinets throughout the United States. We were founded in 1997. We've grown to over 100 employees in our Fall River, Massachusetts headquarters. We also serve the markets of Denver, Chicago, and Atlanta with full-scale facilities in each of those cities. I have extensive experience in production, marketing, and sales of cabinets. Previously, I worked as Senior Vice President of Marketing and Senior Vice President of Sales for Master Brand Cabinet, the largest manufacturer in the United States. There are three distinct U.S. segments for cabinetry: stock, semi-custom, and custom cabinets. Stock cabinets are limited to standard sizes with little customization. Semi-custom products are made to order from a broader set of options and are priced higher than stock cabinets. Full custom cabinets are made to order with the widest variety of materials, options, and finishes. They are the highest priced cabinets in the market. The ready-to-assemble cabinets are a small niche of the stock segment. Stock segment accounts for about 60% of U.S. market. Semi-custom is 20%, and custom cabinets are another 20% based on value. The U.S. market is dominated by the custom and semi-custom made-to-order manufacturers, while many also sell stock cabinets in the stock segment. Several U.S. companies market products to all three segments. Their websites actively promote each product segment, careful to show the benefits of each one and why each segment sells at different price points. If these segments were in competition with one another based on price, it's hard to see how these companies could promote their own products side by side. Let me highlight an important part regarding the stock segment of the market. Products sold by U.S. producers in the stock segment are generally made to order. They're not sold from existing inventory. This enables U.S. producers to offer consumers a wide range of choice with correspondingly extended lead times. Imported product, by contrast, are generally sold ready-to-assemble form, known as RTA flat pack, and are therefore sold from existing inventory that enjoys much shorter lead time. Imported cabinets are typically shipped to the U.S. in the form of ready-to-assemble or RTA flat packs that contain all the components needed to assemble a finished cabinet. We either then assemble those cabinets for our customers, or the customers arrange for assembly at the job site by an installer. Because of this business model, importers offer only a limited amount of styles, colors, and options, while U.S. manufacturers, even in the stock segment, offer far more options. U.S. producers and importers offer a fundamentally different combination of product and service. U.S. companies are focused on offering breadth of choice, but with longer lead times. Importers offer limited choice with fast delivery. As a result of all these factors, imported cabinets are not an undifferentiated commodity product that competes head-to-head with the U.S. cabinets on price. First, imported cabinets do not compete in the semi-custom or custom market spaces dominated by U.S. producers. Second, even with the stock market, imported cabinets fulfill a small niche demand. We offer very limited options. We allow delivery of high quality product with consistent finish. Moreover, we invest in and maintain large inventories to allow for quick delivery, which many consumers demand. By comparison, U.S. producers offer far more options in their stock products, which require far longer lead time, and they hold little inventory, if any. For stock cabinets, U.S. producers have lead times of weeks to months. By comparison, my company can deliver cabinets in as little as 1 day. Many U.S. producers have aging plants in which they typically finish cabinets through hand spraying. In contrast, Chinese cabinets are finished on automated flatline equipment that produces a thicker, more durable, and more consistent finish. For these reasons, the quality and consistency of finishes for US produced cabinets is often inferior to that of cabinets made in China. In addition, US producers use particle board in many of their stock cabinets, while our products are exclusively made of hardwood plywood. Furthermore, many US producers are struggling with their fulfillment rates, which is the ability to fulfill a customer order accurately, completely, and without defect. In contrast, we have a 99% fill rate with almost no product defects. In situations where competitive offers are made to our customers by US manufacturers, it's the US manufacturers that are lower in price than our products. Our customers then use that lower price in an attempt to negotiate lower prices from us. We choose not to do that. We choose to compete on quality product and speed of delivery. We feel that's our niche in the market. Ultimately, stock cabinets are sold at price points offered by US producers that are not superior in quality and do not offer the same service. Our products are frequently sold side by side with the domestic manufacturers, the manufacturers of custom, semi-custom, and stock products. We share a sales force with the domestic manufacturers. If these products are not differentiated, we do not understand how we could be sharing a sales force and so many dealers. We compete on speed and quality. Thank you.
Okay, Matt is gonna wrap it up for us, and then we'll take some questions.
Hi, everybody. I'm Matt Nicely with Hughes Overton Reed, leading the defense in this case. As you can tell from the statements of our coalition members, this is not your typical trade case against China. Cabinets and vanities these and other companies are bringing in from China are not commodity products. They serve a niche demand for RTA cabinets here in the United States that US producers are not supplying, except for large US producers like Masterbrand and American Woodmark that also import to service that demand. US producers that import RTA cabinets manufacture all of their other product lines, assembled stock cabinets, semi-custom, and custom, here in the United States. Clearly, Masterbrand and Woodmark recognize that these RTA products do not compete head-to-head with their domestically produced product lines. They know that RTA cabinets serve a special market in which the short lead times of a storable, inventoried product are desired. Call it the Amazonification or prime effect in American consumer purchasing. Furthermore, the cabinets being imported are of very high quality with consistency of size and paint application that discerning individual and large project customers alike now expect. Imported cabinets are not the low cost, low quality commodity that is often associated with Chinese products. The niche nature and high quality of the imported RTA product explains why, during the preliminary injury investigation earlier this year, the ITC found no significant negative price effects from imports. Let me restate that. In a case against China, the country we all tend to think of as supplying the lowest priced product in the market, the ITC was unable to find negative price effects from imports. Specifically, the ITC found that imports sold at higher prices than domestically produced cabinets in the majority of pricing comparisons, without regard to whether the products were assembled or not. And this was based on pricing comparisons for the particular kinds of cabinets that the US petitioners specifically requested that the ITC use for those comparisons. In addition, the ITC was unable to find evidence that the Chinese product depressed or suppressed US prices. That is, Chinese products did not push US prices down and did not prevent US industry prices from increasing. In fact, the ITC found that domestic prices increased from 2016 to 2018, while import prices decreased. Exactly the opposite of what the Petitioners Coalition has claimed and what you usually expect to see in these cases. The ITC's finding on price supports what you're hearing from our Importer Coalition members today, that imports operate in their own niche segment of the market. With this evidence of no direct price competition between imports and U.S. products, the ITC could only rely on the quantity of imports to justify its preliminary affirmative injury determination. Based on the information gathered during that investigation, imports from China did increase from 2016 to 2018, and did so faster than overall demand, so that their market share increased as well. But the key question is whether this increase in volume and market share was significant. After all, domestic shipments increased during that period as well. The part of the market that demands convenience and quick delivery simply grew faster. The fair trade laws were simply not meant to be used to impose trade restrictions on imports that are growing their own market in the United States based on distinct qualitative product characteristics that are unavailable from domestically sourced merchandise. For domestic producers to suggest otherwise, while themselves importing the product, compounds scapegoating with sheer hypocrisy. Furthermore, there remains significant difference of opinion over a key fact: the size of the U.S. market for these products. The petitioning coalition would have you believe that imports were over $4 billion and that U.S. demand was under $10 billion, trying to give the impression that China is this growing amoeba seeking to take over the U.S. market. As we will demonstrate to the ITC during the final phase of the investigation, the U.S. market is far larger than they suggest, well more than double the $10 billion figure, closer to $30 billion. Imports from China are well less than 10% of the total U.S. market. In terms of total dollars, we admit this is a big case. Imports of subject imports from China are likely around $2 billion, a large number by any measure. But when considering the number in proper context, i.e. the very large and growing U.S. market for cabinets and vanities, given the growth in housing starts and remodeling occurring throughout the United States today, the role of imports is far less significant than petitioners claim. This is because imports are only serving the relatively small portion of the market that demands the convenience of the RTA product because of its storability and speed of delivery. What the U.S. Petition Coalition seems unable to accept is that some members of the U.S. industry are performing well, while others may be hurting. Given the limited role of imports, this demonstrates that competition among the U.S. industry is what is driving profits, not imports. Allegedly low-priced imports from China are a convenient explanation these days for all manner of changes in the marketplace environment. But the data collected so far in this case already show that certain domestic producers often price their products lower than imports. And as you know from the companies here today, the U.S. producers selling at these lower prices are the larger companies like MasterBrand. It's time for the U.S. industry to face the reality of intra-industry competition and stop blaming imports for its perceived problems. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. We're going to take some questions, both online and from the room. So I would defer first. I would ask the first reporters, if there are reporters in the room who want to ask a question. And please identify yourself.
Yeah, my name is Anshu with Inside U.S. Trade. I was just, you mentioned the ITC ruling. The Commerce Department has also issued 2 affirmative rulings, right, in both the anti-dumping and countervailing duty cases. So are you saying that these products are not dumped and subsidized, or just that there's no harm to the domestic industry?
Let me repeat the question.
Sure.
Yes, are we saying that the Commerce Department found that they're dumped and subsidized? Are we saying that they're not, or are we saying that they're not injured?
There are 2 broad elements to the anti-dumping and countervailing duty laws. One is whether or not there is unfair trade activity, i.e. dumping or subsidization by a foreign government, which is handled by the Commerce Department. And then the question of injury, which is a separate element handled by the International Trade Commission. You have to have both. You have to have an affirmative determination by both agencies in order to justify imposition of these duties, because dumping itself and subsidization itself without also causing injury is not something that we remedy under these laws. So no, I'm not saying there isn't. There's obviously, I'm not saying there isn't any dumping, that there isn't any subsidization. There may be, and I'm saying maybe because we're still between the prelim and the final. There were, you know, in the preliminary determinations issued that you're referring to in the last couple of months, you know, they found dumping duties. They applied, you see in the press some very, very high numbers. That's because in cases against China, they apply adverse facts available against some companies, and they use what the petitioners allege in their petition, which inevitably is a very, very high number. So what you're seeing in those determinations is giving the impression of a much higher, a very large range, and everyone seems to focus on the high end of that range, when in fact they're not nearly that high for the most part. But anyway, the point is that if we win at the ITC, that dumping and that subsidization is deemed to be irrelevant, and the case goes away completely.
Right, you're not disputing that, you're just disputing the injury element.
That's right.
Okay.
We are not. I'm not, in my role as counsel to these folks at the ITC, I'm not disputing. There are other law firms who are obviously challenging those determinations by the Commerce Department, representing the individual mandatory respondents in those cases, DOC.
Jonathan Salant, New Jersey Advanced Media. If you lose the case, they're asking to raise the price. The duties would raise the price of your product and make it non-competitive. Would you not be able to sell anything at all?
I think that varies. I'll let some of these folks speak to that, but I think that varies by company. I mean, there's a company called ACCD whose rates are particularly low. I think that their total rate right now is around 11%. I don't think that'll be market prohibitive for some of the other companies who are in fact subject to somewhere in the neighborhood of 200+%. That's probably market prohibitive. It'll depend from company to company.
Yep, and as I stated in my statement, we, just like anyone else on the defense side of this case, are looking for alternate supply chains. I've been around the world on this mission, in fact, and I think the more important point is that more often than not, when we get there, we're told, sorry, Master Brand purchased us up. Sorry, Master Brand asked if we do work with them, that we not work with any of the RTA companies. And keep in mind, as a member of the petitioning coalition, Master Brand had months or possibly even years to prepare for this. So I think the more important question is not, you know, what specifically happens if you leave China. I think it's important to ask, what are some of these larger, quote unquote, domestic companies doing to get out of China and to prevent our ability to do the same?
Well, and also, keep in mind also that when you set up a new plant, it is so costly. Oh my goodness, and it's really legitimately starting over. I mean, it's not like starting to do business with somebody in the U.S. It's really, honestly, it's a huge expense to a small company like a WebDon or anybody up here. I mean, when you're like a Master Brand, who is a huge conglomerate, it's the amount of money to them compared to us is a drop in the bucket. So, I mean, when you have a loyal relationship with somebody, a vendor, in Asia, who you've been doing business forever, and they are, you know how they do business, and then you've got to just drop that relationship and start with somebody new that you don't know, and then you have to really, go over the engineer drawings and how many SKUs do cabinets have. My goodness, there are tons of SKUs in cabinets. If you look at your kitchen, how many different size boxes there are, it's a massive product line. And then I only have 4 cabinet doors, by the way. I only offer 4 cabinet doors. I don't offer 50 in my line. There's only 4, but there's still a ton of SKUs in cabinets. So starting over is very, very expensive.
I should say that we have all the remarks. You'll be right outside, so when you leave, be sure to grab the statements by all our speakers. Sorry, go ahead.
Kat Lucero with MLEX. There was in the commerce proceedings, there was at least the petitioners were claiming that there was a critical circumstances. Is there any update on that?
They have not actually alleged critical circumstances in this case so far. So I don't believe that that's accurate. They've actually alleged critical circumstances.
Okay.
They had in the courts case that was just completed. Other questions? If we have one online, I guess this one's for Matt. Matt, why are the petitioners saying that we're 40% of the market?
That's actually not even the position they took at the ITC. That's something that some of their folks have taken in their discussions with the press in the last several weeks. They're taking a total, at least my understanding is that they're taking a total of $4 billion worth of imports based upon all of the HTS harmonized tariff schedule numbers listed in the scope. One of which is a basket category, so they are capturing they're capturing much more than just the product that is subject to the scope. So, first of all, the numerator is wrong. The number is definitely much smaller than the $4 billion that they're using in that calculation, and their denominator is about 10 billion. And we know from a variety of sources that it is the total market is far bigger than 10 billion. We know that from Fredonia, an operation that several of the petitioners' companies themselves cite to as a source for determining market size. You can see that in American Woodmark and Masterbrands SEC filings. And there's another report by NKBA, which is the outfit that does the KBIS event every year that the entire industry goes to out in Las Vegas, that puts the market size for materials only for cabinets, wooden cabinets, and wooden vanities at closer to $30 billion. So that's why we've indicated, and we will be working this issue very hard during the final investigation to demonstrate that the market size that the petitioners are talking about, in an attempt to show that the imports to be much bigger than they are is way off.
The other point I think that's significant is of that 2 billion of imports, some of the petitioners are included in that number.
Yes.
So Masterbrands is a classic example of a company that is an importer as well as petitioner.
Right.
I was going to add, it's interesting that the market size and market opportunity for the petitioners depends on what the audience is. So in the annual reports, quarterly reports, filings with the SEC, or somebody who's divesting their business, market's much bigger. For the cases of this petition, they're quoting a market that's much smaller. So it's very interesting if you look at the SEC filings or divestiture documents for Masco Cabinetry, that sale package has a much larger market than what they're claiming for the petition.
We have another question online, and any of you guys can handle it, but can you better define who is your customer base?
Chris, I'll take that. I mean, our customer base, we sell to independent kitchen and bath dealers, primarily for JSI, and I think my peers up here are the same. So these are typically owner-operators or small businesses that come to your home, design your kitchen. They help you select a cabinet option, and then in some cases they'll help install or do a remodel project. Through those dealer networks, we also sell to contractors that are new construction or single-family home remodels.
And just to add, in addition to those types of customers, which KCD also serves, the niche we really serve is customers who require almost immediate turnaround. So think about multifamily rental units that go, that get rehabbed every 5 years or so. Right, the owners cannot afford to wait 4, 6, 8 weeks to turn that unit and start producing revenue again. They look to us. Another very and unfortunately increasingly relevant example is natural disasters. We are particularly well poised to know about this. We have locations in North Carolina and Houston, Texas, both of which over the last several years have been hit by natural disasters. And the importance of getting families back in their homes as quickly as possible and not having to wait weeks or months to have a functioning kitchen is so critical, and it's a need that simply is not served by the made-to-order industry.
Yeah, I just have a follow-up question. So you mentioned that the petitioners are misconstruing basically the size of the market, right? Did you not make that argument in the preliminary ITC investigation, and you're going to in the final case, or you made it already?
We did make the argument. If you know how these cases work, I know you follow them closely. You know that the prelims go incredibly fast. The amount of time you have to, I mean, petitioners have a lot of time to prepare because they're the ones who decide when they're going to file the petition, so they have a lot more time to prepare facts. We have a few weeks. The decision is made so quickly. The petition was filed on the 6th of March, and the ITC voted 45 days later to make the preliminary determination. Bear in mind, the ITC in the prelim has a standard where they use the word reasonable indication of material injury by reason of imports. That's in essence a way of saying it's a prima facie case, right? It's a much lower standard than is applied in the final. And it's that lower standard is used in part because they have so little time to gather information. But we will be presenting significantly more evidence during the final to demonstrate that the market is in fact far larger than they found than the petitioners proposed and that they found in the prelim.
We had another question online. So if you're not competing directly with the made-to-order and semi-custom, why are they spending so much time and effort and money pursuing this case? I mean, you're saying that you're not in direct competition.
In our view, that's based upon a misperception of the competitive dynamics in the market. It depends upon which petitioning company we're talking about, I suspect. It seems to me that the reason why the biggest companies who are part of that coalition have brought the case is to protect their alternative foreign sources of RTA products as opposed to protecting their domestic production. After all, the folks that these people are competing against most directly are in fact the RTA products that MasterBrand itself is bringing in from other countries. And so for the most part, we're looking at a very cynical, as you put it originally, a cynical case brought mostly to protect alternative foreign production, not U.S. jobs.
Great. Any other questions? These guys will be here, so if you want to come up and ask any questions, please do. We also will, as I said, we have their statements outside that you'll get, and please let us know if you have questions, and thanks for joining us.